Hey guys, it's Shell here, and oh my god, so that video I did on adoptables a couple months ago got pretty popular, and after gaining about 1 sub in like 4 months, I suddenly gained about 20, so thank you guys so much for that support. Anyway, a YouTuber by the name of Spoctor recently made a video about incomplete animation maps, and he got quite a bit of disagreement going on in the comments of that video. In the video, he basically talked about why it's so frustrating for both animators and viewers when animation maps go unfinished. He got slammed pretty hard by a few major animators about what he said, claiming that he undervalued the time and effort that was put into maps. Also, if you don't know, a map is a multi-animator project, where basically a bunch of animators get together and animate different sections of a song and then put it together in one video. I made this video because I actually agree with Spoctor on most of the things he said in the video, and I wanted to discuss my problems with the people's views in the comments. So I scrolled through a solid 3/4 of the comments section and tallied off the times people made the same points, and it turned out it was really about the 4 same points being said over and over again in the comments. I also saw a lot of people saying they didn't even watch the whole video before commenting a mini essay. Like, good lord, people, at least listen to the whole argument before you attack it. So please, watch this whole video before trying to deconstruct my arguments. And while there were a good portion of people who were trying to be respectful, there were many people that were being extremely rude and passive-aggressive to Spoctor, which was completely unnecessary. So first off, people were saying that he wasn't qualified to even talk about this because he doesn't join or host maps, and he doesn't know what it's like to do one. And really, I would say that I don't think that you have to experience something to talk about it, first of all. I do admit that he doesn't talk much about the struggles of making a map, but he's not discounting them either. People are allowed to have opinions on things that they don't necessarily experience themselves, and that doesn't mean that those opinions are somehow less important. But even if it does make them less important to you, allow me, an animator who has actually made map parts and hosted 2 incomplete maps, to say these points for you. I saw a few people saying that map parts aren't thrown in the bin when they aren't in completed maps, as Spoctor says in his video. It's true that it is still good practice, and it builds portfolio, but it does feel incredibly frustrating when you make a map part hoping for it to be in a completed map, and it doesn't make it. It kinda does feel like you did that for nothing, because the map host just gave up on the project. And this brings me to the next argument, where many said that Spoctor was blaming hosts for the incompleted maps, and that it's not their fault. It is true that map hosts do have limited control over who drops out and who doesn't finish their part, but when you're making a map as a map host, it is your job to make sure that you make a good defined set of rules for your map that include a due date. And it is also your job to keep track of the animators in your map. If someone is taking forever to make a part, try to contact them, and if they're either too busy or they don't respond, just kick them from your map. It's not bad to kick someone. It just means that you're trying to move things along. And as for map hosts having it be their fault that their map didn't get completed, I actually do take credit for my second map not getting completed, although the first one was just because I didn't get enough people to fill the parts. That's because I had like 20 subscribers at the time, but that's fine. But these map hosts in the comments seem to have this need to shift the blame from themselves. Like, it's completely fine to own up to the fact that you should have kept better track of your map. There's no shame in that. Anyway, the second most commented point was that maps aren't always meant to be finished, and that people know going in that there's a chance that they won't be finished. And what if the point of maps aren't to be finished, then what's the point of them at all? People said that the point was for animators to build a portfolio and practice their animation skills, But you don't need a map to do that. You don't need a map to make a short animation the length of a map part. Why would you join a map when you could make that animation without joining a map if you didn't want the map you're joining to be finished? Now, this next point was only really made by one person, but it was kind of a good one, so I will talk about it briefly. A singular map part should not be worth less than a completed map part. What? Why would an 8-second animation be worth the same as a 3-minute long animation with the combined efforts of several animators? That just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Obviously, more animation and effort is better than less, is it not? Jeez. Anyway, this next point was the biggest one. I tallied up 14 different comments that said some variation of this, and it was that animators have lives outside of YouTube, aren't paid, and aren't professionals. Well, no kidding. However, when you embark on the adventure to make a map, you should think, before you make or join one, do I have the time to do this? Is there something happening in the next few weeks that may complicate this? I understand that there are things in your life that are random, sudden, and out of your control, and that happens. Sometimes, but a vast majority of these incomplete maps are just due to poor planning and underestimating. I mean, Jinja Ninja said it herself. Maps are nightmares. So, if a map is a nightmare to you, then why are you making one? If you want to make a map, plan it out, make strict rules, and keep track of it. Alternatively, if you're joining a map, make sure you are going to have the time to make it. And if a crisis in your life does occur, contact the map host ASAP. Of course, most YouTube animators aren't being paid and are not professionals, but you should not be upset with your audience for wondering where the completed map is. Harassment is, of course, not okay, but when you make a map, that's literally giving your audience a teaser for a completed map. You can't just make a map and then get upset with your audience for them expecting you to complete it, because, like I said earlier, that is the purpose of a map. It's starting a project and never finishing it, basically. So, please, don't play the victim when your map doesn't get completed. Especially large YouTubers who have a big enough following to get people to fill in when other people drop out. Anyway, that was my response to this. Spoctor hit the nail on the head for several of the points, and while yes, he doesn't have map experience, his points are still valid. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I'm super lonely, so a like, a sub, those would really help me out, and I would love some discussion in the comments about this too, but please do not harass anyone who is mentioned in this video, and also please be respectful in the comments, and that's it. So, bye!